What's up, family? It's the one and only Humble Stone like no other. We about to get into this video right now. Hopefully you guys appreciate the last few videos I've been putting out. I've been working on setting a good consistent rate of me in the flow state and just putting out videos. So if you're here right now, new subscriber, old subscriber, gonna be a subscriber, don't want to click the button subscriber, I don't know subscriber, looking at my page, watching my channel, don't want to don't want to dislike for free, do what you want, you feel me? I appreciate all the responses. I appreciate you right now watching this video. We have to get to something really important, and something that I want to speak my mind about and really, learn about, because as well, if you're in US and if you're not in US, I know this is affecting everybody around the globe, right? And this is not something that's unnatural, that hasn't happened before, but this at this time has been it's been a very big shift, right, for everybody, adults, kids, teens, babies, everything about it, health wise, money wise, living conditions wise, job wise, food wise, resources. Like, everything is being affected right now, and this is not to scare you. This is basically to keep you aware, because obviously sometimes we're on social media, we scroll through the nonsense, we follow people that don't give us value at a rate that we're actually seeing changes in our world we can actually, adapt to or be aware of. So that's what I'm here for, to grow and be aware at this moment, right? This video is on CNBC, right? And a lot of news channels put out negative news, and I'm here to spread some light regardless of what you're going through, because I'm going through the same thing you're going through. I'm not any more special than you are, and we all gonna get out of this in the right, correct manner, and work through our purpose and passion and find things to do that we love, right? So the video is called "Where Inflation is Worse in the United States." And like I said, this is happening on a global level, so just know what we have in our country. We're grateful to have certain freedoms in some way, but some other countries don't have that. It's kind of hard to really pretty much gauge on how much freedom every other country has if you haven't experienced that country. So I have to watch myself and be grateful to have the United States to be in and live in and not experience anything crazy. Well, I have experienced some crazy things dealing with this United States, but it's okay. It can always be worse. Just know it can always be worse. Where inflation is worse in the United States.
2 years.
Many have generally gone either south or west.
And those destinations also happen to have the highest inflation rates in the US.
The story of inflation is more a story about hotbed migration destinations and how that changed during the pandemic.
Phoenix, Atlanta, and Tampa are among the metro regions seeing both hot inflation and the pandemic surge of
Inflation and migration, Q1 in 2021. So that's January 1st to April, I believe. So I wish I had the dates on here, but I guess you should know that, right? You are on the news, you should know Q1, right? But yeah, that makes sense. It's 12 months in a year, so 4444. There you go. Let's see what they say.
buying.
The reason why Atlanta is one of the hotspots in terms of inflation in the country is because people are moving into Atlanta.
2 or 3 times a week, we get phone calls, people wanting to buy our house for cash, complete strangers.
We saw right away that inflation.
These are complete strangers. Like, what? What? You talking to a complete stranger? I don't know you. You was talking through a screen to me. You're a stranger to me. But you guys right here, y'all family. So, you feel me? You're not gonna be a stranger. But this is crazy.
Was highest in Phoenix and lowest in San Francisco.
Nationally, the Consumer Price Index rose by 8.3% in April 2022.
They're effectively becoming poorer as prices rise.
Now, once people get here and find, wow, this inflation is so high compared to where they moved from.
It's important as ever to pay attention to how migration is impacting things like inflation.
Here's where inflation is burning red hot, and how migration across the country affected it.
Let's see.
Many Americans relocated from expensive coastal cities to more affordable urban areas, according to the real estate broker Redfin. However, this kind of inflation migration trend seems new.
2021, where we started to see an acceleration of migration driven by the pandemic into these hot places like Tampa and Phoenix and Atlanta, where we really started to see the relationship expand and pull out, where the hot migration destinations are driving the big increases in inflation.
According to Redfin's analysis, Phoenix has the highest inflation
One
rate.
thing I don't get about, like, I understand what they talk about, inflation going up everywhere, or wherever somebody moves, you feel me, they ask for cash to buy a crib, things of that sort, to get around certain tax interest rates and things of that sort. But the biggest thing with me, I don't understand how they raise the rent or pretty much housing, and the only thing that pretty much stays the same, that doesn't move, or within 3 to 5 years, maybe, well, not every year, you get a 50-cent raise at a job, or get a $1 raise at a job. It's not particularly doing anything. It's doing something, but it's not doing anything to put you in position to carry a $5,000 rent in New York City. You know what I'm saying? Or $3,500 on top of car bills, on top of pretty much your expenses is not an extra $1,000 on max, you feel me, middle class. That's if it depends on how many kids you have. Obviously, it's different situations for different people. But the only thing I don't get is how jobs do not evolve. They just change on what you should be doing at the job, but they don't evolve on, okay, since this is going on in the world, let's up the pay and, you know, compensate somehow or some way. Feel me? So the consumer, not the consumer, the client and the employees are on the same page, because it's not making sense on both sides completely. It's making sense for the client, but it's not making sense for the employee.
Any U.S. metro area, prices spiked 10.9% in the first quarter of 2022.
10%?
Plus, Phoenix was one of the most popular places to move to, second only to beachy Miami, Florida, according to Redfin.
Housing is definitely a large component that is driving that. Housing costs in Phoenix as of the first quarter are about 12% growth right now.
Most people in Phoenix that are
So
homeless.
if you had a $100,000 house, it's going for an extra $12K. And if I'm not doing my mouth right, you could totally correct me, because I'm out here growing and learning with you. I'm working on being aware as well, because I don't want to stay in one state. You know what I'm saying? And this is obviously something that's gonna continue going on. Obviously, it's not gonna stay the same. Inflation is inflation.
Are watching the home price inflation with a great deal of enjoyment. Essentially, home prices are darn near doubled what they were 2 or 3 years ago.
Hot housing market like Atlanta's.
We have a lot
I don't know
of
why
people
it's just
moving
so
in.
low.
That's definitely increased the demand for goods and services, and especially housing.
Redfin said Atlanta had the second highest inflation rate at 10.6%. And the Georgia metropolis also happened to be the 10th most.
In Georgia as well, Atlanta. If you don't know, that's where a lot of rappers come from. A lot of content, a lot of different things that's happening in Atlanta. You feel me? And they're saying that Atlanta is built on crystals, and that's why a lot of young rappers, a lot of good energy, a lot of good businesses is coming out of that place, is because it's built on crystal. And I don't know fully. I'm not here to tell you like that's 100% fact, but that's what I heard, that's what I saw, and that's what somebody told me. Not somebody out the street, but somebody that's knowledgeable and talks about different things at that rate, of where I know it's consistent to a level where I could kind of say that to you guys, and pretty much y'all can do your own research, because everything I say, make sure you do your own research, you feel me? Because I'm not perfect, and you're not perfect, and we can all do better.
Popular migration destination.
People have more work flexibility, and they are also looking for more affordable places compared to San Francisco, New York, and all the other bigger metropolitan area. Atlanta is still much more affordable. That margin is definitely shrinking.
Wow. Tampa.
The Sun Belt trend continues, with Tampa, Florida having the third highest inflation rate at 9.9%.
That's crazy.
And as being the third most popular
I
migration
thought they were
destination.
Oh, it might be Miami. San Francisco is 4?
Meanwhile, the city that saw the most people moving away was San Francisco.
Oh,
And San Francisco had the lowest inflation rate in Redfin's analysis at 5.2%.
We know a lot of people that we've been tracking throughout the pandemic have been leaving places like the Bay Area and been moving and pouring into these hot migration destinations throughout the pandemic.
The New York City area had the second lowest inflation rate at 5.4% and saw the third most migration away.
And keep in mind, this is price change, not price level. So we're not saying it's less expensive to live in New York. It's just that their current inflation rate's a little bit lower.
Bro.
Introducing Welcome Unlimited.
The amount of things you have to compensate with living in New York is absolutely insane for your rent to be so high. Like the same amount of money you put into extra bills, like I guess you save on the car part. You got EBT and transportation,
the percentage
and stuff,
change
trains and
of
buses,
the price index
taxis.
is the consumer price index. So that is a basket of representative goods that people consume, and housing accounts for 1/3 of that basket.
Wow.
The Consumer Price Index, the CPI, is a measure of the average change over time in the prices paid by consumers, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics.
You see that phone on
basket
top,
of
right?
Stuff is
Apple is charging $1,000
information
plus
provided by
$100
families
now.
and individuals on what
Pay
they
on top
actually
now.
bought. But the prices
whatever
calculated
the
from
original
each
amount
item
of
in the
Apple-
basket are weighted.
And we have a
The regular amount of an iPhone is going up by $100 because of inflation.
sample of all sorts of goods and
Food.
services that we collect data from every month. In about 75 areas across the country, we're collecting in the neighborhood of 80,000 prices a month, so around 1 million per year. And we're using that to compute both, overall price change, how much has the price has risen for that whole market basket.
So if the CPI represents the average weighted prices of goods across the country, regional CPI measures have their own unique weighted baskets of prices, just slightly different weights. And that variation depends on the region.
I
Can
was
be
shopping
different from
yesterday
place
too.
to place.
The
Now, our data shows that there's substantial inflation in every area of the country. A little bit less in the Northeast, a little bit more in the South and West. The first place to look is sort of the weight of gasoline and also just the shelter or rental costs, because that's where we see the most variation.
In the most recent 12-month period, gas prices in Phoenix are up over 40%.
Speak up, bro.
People buy a lot of cars. Some people buy used cars. Prices of both of those have really increased nationally, but also here in Phoenix, that's been a big driver.
People
I'm
feel
not gonna lie, you do what you gotta do, but this is a time where you gotta really sit down and analyze what you want to do with your life and position yourself the best of the ability to where am I gonna spend my money on, you feel me? And where am I gonna save my money, you feel me? Because I personally don't want you to go out and put yourself in a hole because you got a nice job that's paying you $20 an hour, you feel me? You put yourself in a bad position getting a crib and a new car, and you paying both, and that inflation's still going up, and you're not noticing that that $20 an hour not gonna do shit. You feel me? You gotta do more. You gotta learn a skill. Nowadays, you gotta open a business. You gotta motherfucking. You gotta help somebody do something. You get what I'm saying? You gotta have some type of purpose in your life to actually enhance your productivity, and that's what I'm personally working on. And I'm here to let you guys know this information because I know half these people that subscribe to my channel not gonna watch this because it's something about the news and everybody thinks it's negative, or maybe I spin on it thumbnail wise, it looks negative, whatever, blah blah. But this is real shit. And if you're a kid, excuse me.
pay at the pump, the gas price increase, that will increase the cost of many other things. And that's why you can see the food price and the overall other services. So that definitely affects the cost of living.
Mm-hmm.
Even though the national housing market is showing signs of a cool down, Phoenix, Tampa, and Atlanta will remain attractive to out-of-town homebuyers, according to Redfin, thanks in part to pandemic-fueled remote work.
I think there's a long-term migration in the U.S. towards sort of the Sun Belt, towards the South and West, away from the Northeast, and I think that's probably continuing.
Homes are becoming less affordable more quickly in the Sun Belt metros than in coastal areas.
Does that affect migration? I don't know. It hadn't seemed to as of this point because prices are going up everywhere.
Big factor factor that will drive both inflation and migration pattern is the housing market. The rate hike now the Fed is conducting. We know, right, when the mortgage rate is higher, it will cool down the housing market a little bit, right?
Adjustable rate mortgage demand surges to 14-year high as home buyers try to afford these prices spring market. Wow.
But specifically how the Atlanta housing market will move, that is hard to say.
What year was that?
Redfin suggests that the financial benefits of moving to relatively affordable areas may eventually diminish.
The cost of living might be really affordable to someone who's moving into the area, but for an existing resident who is already there, they might be feeling more of the pains if they haven't had as strong income gains and they are still facing higher prices.
That's why wages are the key component that ties this together, especially for locals.
I'll be damned. They wish they would put a $33 per hour on here. I wish they would. They wish they would. How would the economy go though? Like, obviously we getting the short end of the stick with $15, you feel me? 16, 17, 18, you feel me? What happens to go to 30 or 20? Why doesn't like we push the economy? Like, employees push the economy to make shit work, make shit, you feel me, make sense. Why doesn't this happen for most individuals? And that's why you find out kids watching their parents work for $18 an hour, $14 an hour, 13 hours an hour, I think the minimum in New Jersey is $9 or some shit like that. That's fucking pitiful. Fucking pitiful. You can't even do the math correctly right to actually pay your rent. Like, with having a car to get to work. Even if you have to walk. So you telling me I can't buy a bottle of water? I gotta save that $1, $2. Well, yeah, $2 or $3, because now a bottle of water is not $1. Unless you want to get Arizona, you feel me? It's different, but a bottle of water is not straight $1 no more. You feel me? You gotta put your health on the line for shelter, basically.
Locals are simply priced out, and they have to either move much further out or to a place like Dallas instead, where it's relatively more affordable.
As your wage and your salary cannot increase and keep up with the pace of inflation, your purchasing power will be hurt.
Wage increases nationally were 5%. Phoenix wages were up 6.4%. Now that's, of course, not really keeping up with inflation.
People will be hurt a lot more.
This is the May, right? And this is about to end. This is about to end. I'm about to let them talk, and I'm gonna end the video right after he's done talking. So this is what I gotta say. The last thing, this is from May, so this is 5% at the moment. We're at, I believe, 9.1% in July, and as you can see, only one state is showing courtesy for the population in their state, and that's Phoenix. 6.4% at the moment, at a 5% inflation rate in nationally. So basically, you're getting paid an extra 1.4% over the inflation at that time in May. That's beautiful, and that's why people go and move to different places. Obviously, more states should be like that. To be honest, in the whole, obviously, you have a country that says united, freedom for all, things of that sort. Y'all should all be connected and understanding that these people move your economy and move. You're the most powerful country because of the employees and how you cheapskate them. Basically, that's what it is. And maybe sometimes, yeah, you got lazy people, but that's gonna happen regardless of wherever somebody is.
And that is more pronounced and more of an issue in these hot migration destinations. What do we need to do to address that? Raising interest rates that the Fed is going to continue to do will be one way to mitigate inflation and to tame it. That's one strategy. Another strategy shows up with this analysis that we need to build more homes in these hot migration areas to add housing supply to also ease the burden of renters and that are experiencing growth in their rents. There's also transportation infrastructure that people could invest in and maybe ease the burden of relying on cars in these very car-dependent metro areas like Atlanta and Phoenix that are experiencing really high growth.
There's a lot of uncertainty in the economy about what is next. You have the issues related to labor availability, labor shortages. When you have that kind of churn in the labor market, it puts upward pressure on
you gotta
wages.
speak up.
So
Shit,
what is
bro, this shit always to the max, bro. I can't hear you.
Several unknowns, really, but the effect.
You got headphones on, you
Federal
whispering.
Reserve policy.
We got headphones on. Don't you like talk a little loud? We got headphones in. You feel me? Like, what's wrong with this dude?
No,
He must be
is
sleepy.
it going to be a soft landing? Is it going to be
Some cranberry juice. He needs some prune juice.
Who
That's what
knows?
he needs. Yeah. That's the end of the video right there. Like I said everything I had to say. I appreciate you for getting through all the way. And we had a little fun at the end, you feel me? Our man was talking super low. But if y'all can hear me, y'all stay to this long. I'm going to catch y'all next video. Stay up, stay humble. Peace out.